Best Medicine Season 1, Episode 5 Review. The Importance of Meeting Someone at Their Own Pace. By author Laura Nowak. While Best Medicine veers more lightheartedly, tonight's message was important. It's crucial to meet someone where they react emotionally. I appreciated that Best Medicine Season 1 Episode 5 addressed this, not only through the weekly medical case, but also through Mark and Louisa's relationship, which has not had much closure. Many people deal with depression, anxiety, and agoraphobia. Still, Martin hadn't treated many people, and he disliked people, so he was prepared to act like a hands-on counselor with Joe Brock, or to risk offending him and turning off the power grid. I loved that we finally saw a softer side of Martin in Hello Darkness, My Poor Wen, as he realized what Joe needed and bonded with a local neighborhood kid who taught him things about himself. Martin had grown used to working in a big city, where each type of doctor had its own purpose. But in small towns, doctors often did act as social workers too. Initially, he seemed to relate to Joe Brock, who also admitted he did like people are busybodies, which is why he lived far away. The problem was that because Martin does gravitate towards people, he never gets to know his patients. He's very businesslike. He wants to solve the problem and move on to the next patient. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that some people, like Joe, needed a little extra attention to feel seen. It's important that Martin acknowledged the stage Joe was currently at. That's one of the things NBC's Brilliant Minds excels at in their cases. Joe had depression, anxiety, and agoraphobia, and he checked on the power grid when he made his supply runs into town. He stopped taking his meds since he did the side effects, and no one was around to monitor him. Some psych meds have some nasty effects and make it hard to function, so I understand, but it's better to decrease slowly than quit cold turkey. That's what Martin wanted to do. But when he did stay and visit, Joe became more depressed, went back to his couch, and the power blacked out. Joe was totally wrong in that his neighbors were more concerned with restoring the power. While losing power always hurts, these residents took it to another level. The only businesses that should have emerged power were the doctor's office and the Salty Breeze. Anyone charging their phones or using a hairdryer just looked overzealous. We've all dealt with it, and it's not fun, but we've survived. Joe Brock had a real problem, and it seemed that for once, Sheriff Mark reached the gist of it quicker than anyone else. He knew Joe was severely depressed if Joe wouldn't move off the couch to even garden. Help Darkness. My Poor Wen showed that Martin was out of his element as a small-town doctor, but he strived to find a solution to help Joe. He thought Joe had taken St. John's wort from the old notes, which offended him, not realizing that Joe had planted it with Dr. Reese. It was until Martin received a thank you gift from a patient that he recognized it was about reaping what you sow. I don't think he was prepared to dig in the dirt with Joe, but it was the only way to get Joe to feel comfortable with him. I loved seeing this softer side to Martin, and hope we'll see him make more house calls in the future. Best Medicine highlighted how all of us long for acceptance, and sometimes that goes too far. Peter was lucky he did get hurt from trying to swallow an entire apple to impress his classmates. While Martin meant well by telling Peter he was a bright kid and needed to learn to like himself, he crossed the line by telling him he might not find real friends until adulthood. That's a bitter pill for anyone to swallow, but especially for a young child. No one wants to hear they'll be a loser, and that only adults will be kind to them. Martin realized that Louisa was right, and he shouldn't have been so outspoken with Peter. Yet this was the first person in town besides her with whom he seemed truly comfortable. Peter reminded him of him, socially awkward but bright as he sprouted off astronomy facts, and even suggested naming the dog Copernicus, saying he figured out the Earth revolved around the sun. You could tell he just wanted to be included and have fun. And he was overly eager when he offered to walk the dog. Martin finally learned the importance of just conversing with people at their own pace by seeing someone who was like his child's self. Ever since Best Medicine Season 1 Episode 1, Mark has been angry at Louisa for breaking their engagement, and we never saw why they worked in the first place. This hour changed that, and it showed why so many Port Wen residents wished they'd reunite. Both Mark and Louisa cared about the town, as evidenced by their checking on a neighbor. It was beneficial that they did, since she ran into a screw in the dark. Geneva was hilarious as she gushed about how adorable Mark and Louisa used to be. I did like how she implied Louisa was getting older, but older people often say whatever's on their mind, and it's part of their charm. Abigail Spencer has chemistry with almost anyone, and the karaoke scenes with Louisa and Mark were fun, flirty, and entertaining. Their voices melded perfectly, and it seemed like they were a couple again. I could understand why Mark abruptly walked away when the lights came back on. It was easier to pretend in the dark, but now they had to face reality again. Mark was still in love with her, and enjoyed singing with her, and making her laugh with his dumb jokes. I almost felt sorry for him when he listed everything they had in common. He did understand how they went from best friends to lovers to back to best friends in the way he felt about them. While Louisa felt awful and missed what they had, she hoped they could acknowledge that they were doing their best. I appreciated these scenes since they needed them, but felt bad that Martin misinterpreted them, thinking Louisa still had romantic feelings for Mark. I suspect a weird version of a love triangle has begun. What did you think of Hello Darkness, my Port Wen? Has Martin's personality changed? Do you believe closure helped Mark and Louisa? Enjoyed this review? Help us out. Drop a comment or share it. It's free, painless, and helps keep independent TV coverage alive. No account? Register here. Forgot password. Martin learns the importance of meeting people at their own pace on Best Medicine Season 1, Episode 5. Our review, Best Medicine Episode 3, turns Aunt Sarah's petty baseball rivalry into a surprise kiss, much like A Night of the Seven Kingdoms poop gag show's Dunk's fear. Martin's error turns the town against him when he shuts down the salty breeze on Best Medicine Season 1, Episode 4. Our review, hosted on Published. February 3rd, 2026. Laura Noack is a staff writer for TV Fanatic. As a lifelong fan of TV of many genres, her current favorites are Will Trent and Alert, Missing Persons Unit. She is a Hallmark and Netflix junkie and adores series like Sweet Magnolias, Ginny, and more categories reviews.